Hello, and welcome to Recent Activity, your new favorite entertainment review podcast that attempts to cover every film, every show, all at once. I am your co-host, Andrew Morgan. With me, as always, are two men who always have my six, mostly because they're checking out my ass, Chris Frodell.
Hello, and I bet you work out.
And Shane Beauregard.
Quoi de neuf, boys? Faisons cela. And that is for all our thousands of French phrases.
What the hell just happened?
Those are for our thousands. Shut up. You ruined it. Those are for our thousands. Shut up, Chris. I studied those lines. That is for our thousands of shut up.
French listeners, yeah.
Yes,
we had a
those
huge
are for
spike,
listeners in France. So thank you. You wanted something different, Andrew? I gave you something different today. Boom, boom.
Amazing.
Oh my God.
That for how much you guys bust my balls that I catch you off guard, that was like the quintessential catch off guard. That was amazing. Chris is crying. I don't know how we can move on, but it's perfect for this type of show, isn't it? This type of episode. After we just got told, like, hey, these guys don't waffle around. They get right to business. We're like, hold on, we got to laugh for 45 minutes because Shane is talking French. What did you even say? What's the English translation?
That is, what's up, boys? Let's do this.
Okay, wow.
Nailed it.
Simple and to the point.
Yeah.
There you go.
Great.
Unbelievable.
Thank you, listeners in France.
Yeah, exactly. Ooh, pumped, man. Starting to get that listenership up all over the globe. I am all about it. We are going to cover an episode that the first part, at least, should just be entitled Hard to Kill. This is the Hard to Kill segment that we're going to do. We will talk about Ms. Marvel and some MCU stuff at the end, but right up top, let's do our recent activity with the Terminalist and the Old Man. All right, a show that Shane has been teasing for what seems like weeks now, The Terminalist on Amazon Prime, which is executive produced by Antoine Fuqua, also Chris Pratt, who is the star here, and the showrunner David DiGilio. This is based on the book series by Jack Carr. It is about a former Navy SEAL officer who investigates why his entire platoon was ambushed during a high-stakes covert mission. Wow, the the scores on this one might be as divisive of maybe how we all feel about it. This is going to get interesting in a sec. But the Rotten Tomatoes score is 40 on the critics' side, but 95% on the audience score. So I don't know if that is Chris Pratt hate. I honestly, like, this might be post Mario Mario announcement Chris Pratt hate for all I know. It's some wacky stuff there, but it is also getting an 8.1 on IMDb, which is quite high. So generally people are enjoying this. I feel like this is going to be like more war-torn version of Reacher in a way, where like it's kind of like man on a mission, personal revenge story stuff. Very impressive cast. You got Chris Pratt as Commander James Reese, Constance Wu, who I liked in Hustlers as well as many other things, as the journalist Katie Buranek, Taylor Kish as Ben Edwards. He, of course, Shane and I were talking off air that as a young man, that guy got pushed so hard between Friday Night Lights, Battleship, John Carter. He's been in some of the worst movies I've ever seen. He was also in X-Men's Origins Wolverine. So that guy, tough luck on the movie side. But hopefully he's now improving when it comes to all the TV stuff anyway. He was also in Lone Survivor as a Navy SEAL, because Chris Pratt also has been a Navy SEAL before with Zero Dark 30. So definitely people who know what they're doing when it comes to this type of content. You also have Jean Triplehorn as Secretary Hartley. And she, of course, an oldie but a goodie, who was in stuff like Waterworld and The Firm back in the day, and still plugging along, does a lot of good TV lately. We also have J.D. Pardo as Agent Tony Leung, him from Fast 9 and Mayans MC, and Riley Keough as Lauren Reese, James Reese's wife, who I've seen in Hold the Dark or Mad Max Fury Road. She is also, as I said to you guys off air, she is the whisper queen of Hollywood, where any role she takes, it seems like she's like, wait a minute, this line sounds like it should be said at full volume. I'm out. Like, she just is in any role where she could be mostly either off to the side to whisper or in the dark where she has to whisper because it can't be too loud. I swear that's like her MO. Do you guys at least agree with that assessment? I feel like you guys are on board with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. When you said it, yeah.
Wildly, I didn't know until today, and you guys will be, I think I did this before where I felt completely stupid, like about Dakota Johnson, where I didn't realize that she was her famous parents or famous lineage
Griffith
before that.
and,
Right, and Don Johnson. So, like, you had that. And now Riley Keough, do you know her lineage?
Yep.
No, I do
Oh,
not.
Niece
all right.
to Elvis. Or granddaughter to Elvis?
Granddaughter of Elvis,
Yeah.
the daughter
Related.
of Lisa Marie Presley. Yeah.
Get out of here. Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know
shit.
that until
Okay.
today.
I didn't know
I was
that
like,
either. Okay.
Because the Keough thing, I never looked into it, and no one
Right.
ever said anything to me. So I felt pretty stupid today. But I was like, oh, now stuff for me to remember. That's good. But like I said, this was very popular, it seemed like, for Amazon Prime. I don't know if it didn't hit Reacher levels, because I think they would have touted that a little bit more. But I know plenty of people saw it and enjoyed it. This is weirdly a show that I was telling Shane that it works despite the fact that I find the lead to be the weakest part, which is the most odd thing. I've never had that feeling. I'm not saying Pratt is bad, but especially the episodes early on, I felt didn't work as well as how the show moves along. And I felt like that was because it was more Pratt having to act and try to be this kind of like solemn badass that before he actually has to go, kick ass and do missions and be on the revenge binge, where it's mostly just mission critical speak, where I can deal with him a lot better. Shane, I'll start with you because you were the person who was like highly touting this and wanted this on the mics. So tell the people why you push this so hard, baby.
Right. So, okay. So give me a little, I just want the people to know, for our thousands of listeners, my opinions are my opinions of myself. They're not my co-host opinions. So I'm going to say something controversial right off the bat, and we'll get back to it at the end. But Chris Pratt is my second favorite Chris. Like, it is, there's no doubt. Right behind my prison boyfriend. He's right there. So
I was gonna save the Chris conversation because especially with Chris Evans gonna have a new movie out, or kind of has a new movie out for Netflix and everything else. It's a good time to have a Chris talk.
Yes, it is. I agree with you.
That's every time.
I did. I thoroughly enjoyed the show, and I understand where Chris Pratt in several scenes he was kind of stiff. I'll admit, like there were some scenes where he was stiff, right? But I thought he pulled it off enough for me. Like his stoic, just PTSD soldier worked for me. The action scenes were phenomenal. They're not breaking any kind of new storylines with this movie or this show, I should say. But I enjoyed it enough. I like Taylor Kitsch. I think I told you off air. I liked him. He popped every time he was on screen. I liked them together. I thought Janine Triplehorn was really solid in this show, especially towards the end. But man, the action scenes and Chris Pratt pulled it off for me. Like there was that one episode that I really like. My favorite episode reminded me of Rambo. It was when he was in the fucking woods and he had that Navy SEAL team tracking him down. That was probably my thing. That was my favorite fucking episode. I thought he pulled it off just enough for me. Again, was he perfect? No. But did he do enough for me? Yes. Does he get criticized? I believe there's a Pratt factor in the critics' score of this show. And we'll get into that later. But man, getting into kind of spoilers here a little bit. But there is that one, like there are a couple scenes that made me squeamish. And it's hard to make me squeamish. But the hatchet in the testing scene, I was like, holy shit.
Yeah,
I don't think I've ever seen
an extra level. Yeah,
that was badass, dude. And then the other scene was when he had the log tied up to his sergeant there in the ocean. That was gnarly, dude. That was subtle. That was subtle, but like that log's gonna drop. But the hatchet and the testing scene, I was like, holy shit. I
it
loved
No. I'll stay seated. Thank you.
Yeah.
It was, and it wasn't gratuitous though, because I thought it was with purpose, because they had, this escalation going on, and obviously as it got more and more personal, some of those things had to happen to really kind of be like, is this guy losing his shit, or is this like something to where, this is just how this show is going to be? I thought they were more showing that line, that constant pushing of the line that they needed to when it came to the axe or something like that. That was, purposeful in the vengeance as far as this show goes. Chris, I've talked with you. I know before I watched the show, maybe you thought this, I don't know if it was just a slow start, or you were kind of telling me to hang through the first few episodes because you thought it more kicked in around episode like 3 or 4.
Yeah. Definitely. When it first started, I joked with you guys. I'm like, is this like an episode of NCIS LA? Because it just felt like
a terrible assessment. But yeah,
it is terrible. I just want to punch you in your face right now.
Yeah,
it is.
I will say,
those shows are cartoonish. That definitely sets the. If anything, I thought this tone of this show was so much more like slow and solemn, like that. It that made it like drag, where every episode was like so intense I couldn't like binge very well until like episode 3 or 4. But I wouldn't give it like network TV level. That's not happening here.
First couple episodes, I felt like it was network TV. Honestly,
but that was the drama stuff. Yeah, sure, I guess.
But with like what you were talking about with Chris Pratt with his stiffness, it just seemed like he wasn't getting his groove yet. And it's just like, and I think part of it was maybe the spirit gum to keep that beard on. Maybe it was like filmed after, it was just like, we're going to do this later, we're going to set it all up, but we're going to place this before everything that happens. So every time you have to talk with a stiff lip, and you did, okay, guys, we got green team over here. It's like, okay, just, can you just, and I was a bit confused with the tunnel entrance,
which is kind of on purpose, maybe. But yeah, I'm with you.
True, but like, I'm like, aren't they in each other's way? Like, there's a line of guys going to the same location, dropping lights for people that are following them. They first group, second group kind of thing, and like somehow they knew there was a tripwire under the water.
Yeah. I mean, they are Navy SEALs, so you kind of have to give some leap of faith.
Yeah, but then you have the other guy who triggers it, because he's flipping out and he's, panicking, and then sets off the whole failed mission.
Well, and then you have the whole unreliable narrator thing as the show progresses too, where even you're watching it in retrospect, in flashback form, where you're like, okay, well, which version of this happened? Is he losing his mind?
Well, that was the thing. Yeah, when he was in the I think the debriefing, and they played him the audio from their comms,
right?
And he was like, "No, that's not what happened." And I'm like, "What did happen?" It was like seconds ago, but I already forgot. So I'm just like, I can't even blame him for maybe being wrong or on top of it. But regardless, that sets the whole series into motion, because he feels he needs vindication, that the mission was FUBAR from the start.
Right.
But yeah, like it really slowed its method to get going. I would say like around 3, 4, it started picking up, and I was like, okay, it's interesting. It's starting to get interesting for me to be invested in, because I was going to skip out like second or third episode. I was going to say, yeah, I'm out. You guys review it. I'm good.
And I think the first episode was directed by Antoine Fuqua, right? That's the only one he directed, was the first episode?
Yeah, he only did one. I would imagine he did the I didn't investigate that, but yeah, that would make sense, especially for the fact that he's the executive producer on it too.
Right. I thought the first episode was strong. It made sense to me, maybe because I'm not a Navy SEAL, but I do have a military background. So they would find the tripwire in that situation. And there are guys who just flat out freak out and lose their minds. So that all made sense to me. That whole first episode drew me in. And then it kind of dipped, like you guys said, like episode 2 and 3 kind of dipped a little bit, and then it came back up. So I was happy with the whole thing.
Yeah, and I really identified with the soldier who just really had to take a shit before they had to do an op. I was just like, God,
I was with
man.
him.
Yeah. I was like that. If you want to talk about cringy, I was like, man, I feel you. You know, you hit that late night Taco Bell one too many times or something. And now you're in a foreign country, like, you know, trying to have their delicacies or whatever and trying to stay tight. That is tough to pucker a hole and to try to have to shoot the enemy combatants. That is a lot. That is.
Hey, Sarge,
impressive.
where's the clearance for McDonald's? Because this food does not agree with me.
This tent never has a bathroom that we can use. But yeah, I was overall, I was really riveted as the show went on. And I guess you're kind of right. Like, I don't know if it was like as late as say episode 4, Chris, but I would say definitely kind of like the end of episode 2 or into episode 3. Like, once all the dominoes start to fall, and unfortunately the big propelling moment, which I don't want to spoil for people as far as Chris's personal life goes, that kind of sets off a whole different wavelength to the show that I think really does it justice, and then goes from there. I mean, with the journalism, with the extra layers of the FBI and all these extra, you know, the Pentagon and everything else, all the layers start to come together, and I felt it was interesting that after one particular character that felt like the big bad for all the way through, when that's over and there's still way more, I was like, oh, cool. That's awesome that they have more layers to the show.
Yeah.
Right. I would like to piggyback on that because that's the one note of the show that I thought they missed on, and you didn't bring him up, but Jai Courtney plays what you think is like the big villain. He just seemed miscast to me in that role. Like, I didn't believe him as that power broker, you know, behind the scenes kind of guy. And I don't have an issue with Jai. Yeah, I don't have an issue with Jai Courtney. I know a lot of people don't like him and like to give him shit for whatever reason. But to me, he didn't work in this show for me in particular. That was the only negative I had with this show.
I think he works as a red herring where people like, he's got this imposing power to him that you could be like, oh, this guy's clearly in charge here and really the big bad that we have to focus on. And then obviously the show goes in some different directions where maybe that's not the case. So I thought that worked. If anything, when I first saw Sean Gunn kind of being like his side guy and being kind of an asshole and all that stuff, I was like, oh, wow. I don't think I've seen Sean Gunn do anything close to this. So that was interesting, especially, him naked tied to a chair. I don't need to see Sean Gunn in that position at any point. Let's go back to the Gilmore Girls, buddy. Be some Freak Out or Guardians or something. But yeah, overall, I liked the show. And like I said, I think my biggest thing, and I guess if we want to have this conversation now, Shane, I don't know what to make of Chris Pratt anymore. We kind of had this conversation a little bit with Thor: Love and Thunder because we were like, God, he seems so out of place. And then a lot of the stuff that's in between, or even Jurassic World. You're coming off a crap performance, or well, at least a crap movie there that you said he wasn't even the best thing for you on any of those. So that's kind of where his career has gone, to where this show, I wanted him to prove something a little to me, to kind of be like, oh, he is that A-list number one in the conversation of best Chris right now conversation. And I don't know, like, I still, even though he makes some interesting choices, I'd still pick Chris Evans above all y'all.
It's tough because I told you guys I could
America's
flip-flop
ass,
on any.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I flip flop on any given week. I could flip flop Pratt and Evans on any given week, so they're like 2A and 2B for me. Yeah, and it's funny because honestly, if you look at their filmographies, Chris Pine probably has the best work under his belt, and he's probably the best actor of all the Chris's. Let's be real.
But I feel like Hollywood kind of like turned their back on him a little bit. Like, they don't give him the meaty lead roles.
They don't.
It's funny, like Amazon's all in. Like, I think they just had like a show or another movie or something with him
Yeah.
And Chris Pratt,
And-
by the way, I mean, like Tomorrow War was last year or 2 years ago for 4th of July.
last year.
I think
It seems-
last
Yeah, so is
Last
this
year.
every summer we're going to get a new Amazon Chris Pratt project? Is that what's going on here?
I hope so. And honestly, and I don't know if you guys, I told you this guys before. I think if Chris Evans was in this lead role or Chris Hemsworth, this show would be higher critically than it is. Because if you go and read the reviews, if you read between the lines, it's all, well, he's my least favorite Chris Pratt, blah 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 blah. It's like it's all Chris Pratt hate. It's nothing about the show. It's about him and his performance, which I think they're just shitting on him right now, to be honest with you. I just think if there's any other Chris or any other actor in this role, it would have been better critically received than it is. And I don't understand it. It drives me crazy. Like they're giving him this crap. And I don't know. I know I'm on an island by myself defending this guy, but I
Right.
just think unfairly he's getting shit on. And it's just not right.
Are you saying critics are biased?
A little bit.
Well,
bit.
I think
in this case,
Sorry, I was gonna say. I thought I said it like this during the Jurassic World thing too, but like he makes weird choices to me, or at least he's made choices to where people drummed him up, especially post Guardians, that they thought he was going to be this big action star, or at least like this bigger actor in the vein of like Harrison Ford in his prime, and that just wasn't the case, or I felt it was never going to be the case. But people put him on a higher pedestal. And a lot of times when that happens, you go, all right, well, I'm a star. I'm going to always be a star. And you never go back and do like interesting stuff. You always go and just pick what next blockbuster I could be in. And
Yeah.
I think this is the closest thing to at least something interesting that I'd watch. Because I can't remember outside of a Guardians movie, what was the last time I enjoyed Chris Pratt. Because for a while when he was on the come up, he was doing all kinds of fun stuff, or at least interesting things where it felt like, okay, he's stretching himself, but I didn't feel like he was feeling himself to where he needed to be in everything just money grabbing, in a way. And I felt he lost all his joy. Everybody fell in love with him on Parks and Rec and Guardians. Those are roles where I figured that is Chris Pratt. For better or for worse. And
I agree with
now
you.
he's doing less fun stuff that I just have to plod through, and I'm like, I don't want that for him.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think his role is more towards the comedic end, but I do give him credit for trying to stretch himself in this particular role, and I enjoyed it.
Right.
The Tomorrow War, I thought was okay, and he was okay. And I told you in the Jurassic World review, like he just seemed like he checked out. Like, I'm just here for the paycheck. He was soulless, joyless, whatever.
Right.
But at least in this role, I felt like, okay, he's going to take a step out and doing something different. And it took me a while to get it, but I actually enjoyed him in this role. And this role proved to me like he can do action if he wanted to, but I do want to see him more in the Parks and Rec, Guardians kind of roles from here on out.
I think he has a vested interest in the military, and he wants to, highlight that. But for the most
is that
part,
a thing of his? I never like read anything, but you're right. He does kind of lean towards that way.
Yeah, I think he has an interest in it, from Zero Dark 30 and beyond. I think he gets to get in the mindset of the people who are on set, kind of being consultants, and you have to do the training to be the character, to kind of get into that character's head, and it probably stuck with him. And I think a lot of people have an issue with him being so outspoken about his religion, about his political leanings, that people just carry that into whatever role he takes. If he took on another popular role or, something interesting, I think you're going to have the haters come out and say, oh, well, he's not doing it right. It's just like you're going to find something. And I think the three of us, because we know each other, have a tendency of separating what he may believe outside of his roles and what he portrays on screen. I try and do that with most actors, because when they start getting into their personal lives and into their belief system and whatnot, it kind of like sours how we see them on screen.
Yeah,
But
as long as you don't
try
go
and
full
separate
Kirk
'em.
Cameron, I'm fine. You know,
No, exactly.
Don't
No,
bring it
that's
into
exactly
being
it.
everything about you. Yeah,
And like I said with Tom Cruise is a known Scientologist. He's basically the second in command for Scientology. But as long as he's not preaching every other movie about Xenu and all that stuff, then he's going to have my ass in seats
sure.
to watch his movies. He
Listen,
still entertains, and I
yeah.
can separate his outside persona on his on-screen persona.
Yeah, and there's so many current Scientologists or former Scientologists that like I just absolutely love, and I just have to try to separate. I was the biggest Beck fan in the history of mankind, and then he switched over, and I was like, no. I was just like, oh, come on, fine, all right, whatever. It's just music, unless it turns into changing up your whole style. Then I'm not going to say anything. But I was just
Right.
like, fine, that's fine. But yeah, I get it, and yeah, we talk glowingly about Top Gun Maverick, and we'll probably check in on every other Tom Cruise thing going forward. But yeah, for me, I just really want him to just be fun again. And the thing is too, especially once he had to lose all that weight and get cut for Star-Lord, I think that changed everything too, because once you get in that shape, it takes away that like, oh, pudgy Andy from Parks and Rec going to be the funny kind of like sidekick role or whatever. Like he's not going to be, in that realm anymore. Or at least it's hard, like, unless you're doing stuff like The Rock does, where it's like, oh, he's a massive dude, but it's also like a funny action comedy. I think he can do that, but I guess maybe he's just not choosing those roles, or he's been tied up in all these blockbuster project like franchise stuff for so long that it'll be interesting if he goes back to it later on in life or something. But I don't know. Right now, he's dropping down the Chris charts. With obviously Frodell being number one, but
Thanks, buddy. Someone said it, Shane.
Sorry, you're not my prison boyfriend. Sorry.
Yeah, you're just as bottom
do I
bitch
need
in
to
real
do?
life. That's okay. Weird transition to now. We can move on to another show that I only have watched the first episode, not by the fact that I dropped it, but the fact that I just picked it up today. But you guys are saying very nice things about, and critically it's getting applauded left and right. The Old Man, starring Jeff Bridges, John Lithgow, Alia Shawkat, and Amy Brenneman, as well as many others. The scores on it, amazing. 95% Rotten Tomato, 84% Rotten Tomato audience score, 8.3 IMDb. This is about a former CIA officer who's living off the grid, who finds himself on the run from people who want to kill him. Does that last part sound familiar, guys? We're just going to keep doing this where everybody gets chased or need to chase after people. So apparently that's our MO, at least for this episode. This is created by Robert Levine and John Steinberg, who previously created Jericho, which is another show that I enjoyed until it got cut down in its prime. I think it only got like a 1.5 season run or something like that. I still am mad about that. They also created Black Sails for Stars, as well as some other projects. The pilot, and I think 3 episodes in total, were directed by John Watts, who is the current Spider-Man trilogy helmer, and just like was like, hey man, let's go rock this for a while, and just starts doing episodes of The Old Man. So I was impressed, and again, maybe because I watched that pilot episode that he indeed directed, but woof. It was very impressive. First on-screen role for Bridges in 4 years. He battled non-Hodgkin's lymphoma and COVID during production. So if you want to make an old man look even older, holy crap, just give him that to overcome. But yeah, I was very impressed by this. Chris, you're caught up at this point? I know, because we're 2 episodes from the end.
I am on episode 4 or midway through 4, so
right.
I just wanted to say, old man, take a look at my life. I'm a lot like you are.
That's Sandler doing Neil Young? Is that what that
was? Yeah. I'm glad you caught that.
Awesome. I dig it.
Listen, I am in. From episode 1, I am in. You want to talk about a story that we've seen before? We've seen this, but Jeff Bridges is just magnetic. He
Yeah,
is.
I love people
He,
coming in from the cold or like coming out of retirement and just kicking people's asses.
I mean, come on. He would. Everyone was just like, "Oh my god, he's got cancer." He's, well, we wrote him off. He did so well back in this role, and this role, and this role. The man did not look like he skipped a beat.
No.
He is in it to win it. He is the reason we keep on coming back.
And when in doubt, if you're starting to slip, get 2 maniac dogs that you train and stick them on everybody.
Oh my god,
I'm
I
all
love
about
those
it.
dogs.
I do
love
too.
those dogs.
Although I will say, not really a spoiler, but like the closing speed those dogs have for some of these scenes, especially chasing after cars, amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Almost to the point of incredulous. Shane, where do you sit with the old man?
I love it. I love it. I was hooked in through the first episode. In fact, I think I was the first one of us to start watching this show. And I texted you
Yes.
guys like, hey, John Watts
Indeed.
is directing these first couple episodes. But man, Jeff Bridges and John Lithgow balance each other out so well in this show. And I
Fucking
like,
love Lithgow. Oh my god.
yeah, he's so great in this show. And they do a really good job balancing his younger life and his older life. I think the action scenes are great. And what I love about the action scenes is he is an old man. So he gets his ass kicked. Like, and he exudes like the breathing heavy, the laboring, just
Yes.
everything he's in. It's like you feel it. Like he is an older guy, and it comes through in every fight scene he has. Like, let's be real, there's several that he got saved by his dogs because he was getting his ass kicked. But he is, like Chris said, magnetic. I think that's the word you used.
Yep, I did.
Jeff, he is great in this goddamn show. Like, I love him in this show. Amy Brent, like, I haven't seen her in forever, and she's good.
That's it's the leftovers.
Right. So, we didn't even talk about Allie, what's her name?
Shawkat.
Yeah. This is a good role for her because, like, Andrew, you brought up The Green Room, which I totally forgot about, which is a great movie, by the way. But usually she's like in a comedic kind of role, and she is really good and a good centerpiece in this show because she really, I don't want to spoil anything, but like she is part Lithgow, part, Jeff Bridges. She like toes that line between the both of them. And I can't wait to see how this ends. God, it's really, really good is all I'll say. Jeff Bridges, magnetic.
And a show that I thought everybody was saying is going to be a limited series, or it was designed to be a limited series, has now been renewed for, I think, 2 more seasons, if not at least just one.
Jeez.
So I thought it was 2 more when I heard it out there. So that's impressive. That people have caught on. The critics definitely have caught on. And yeah, like you said, we're in episode 6, just aired last week. Episode 7 will be this Thursday. It is going week to week, which is an interesting approach because if you want to talk about 2 shows that are sort of similar, or at least we were talking this older guy, hard to kill scenario, whatever, between Terminal List and the old man. Terminal List was a full binge. That was just dropped all together. And I felt like, especially that kind of revenge story that's slowly unearthing clues, it worked for that because I thought, especially with the first couple episodes are slow or maybe not as action-packed or still trying to form that story together, that deserved a binge model. I think they did that right. This one, because the pilot is so good, now being week to week, I was like, do it. I don't care. Just give me that, like, something to watch every single week that we've been missing ever since the boys went away and obviously, whatever else we have going on. But obviously most recently the boys. So do you guys feel that way worked?
With all the stuff that there is available to binge, it's nice to have an episode a series or 2 that go week to week.
Like, especially ones that I enjoy. Sorry, Disney.
Right. Some of Andrew and I watch Only Murders in the Building.
Yeah.
And I think that's done really well being doled out.
Yeah.
And Old Man, I'm looking forward to it. Even though I started binging after Shane's suggestion, I will be caught up and be able to see it, as it comes out. And I'm okay with that. because it deserves it. It deserves that kind of slow build, and let me think about what I just saw until next week. I can see, or I'm sorry, this Thursday I get to see the conclusion, or the continuation, I should say. The conclusion is going to be in a couple weeks.
Yeah, I'm at the point now where I just want this recording to end so I can go watch episode 2 and just keep up
Thank
with
you.
it.
Good night.
Yeah, exactly.
It fills that boys gap for me, like you said. Like I look forward to having.
I'm gonna take that little sound clip and just replay it all the time.
It's funny
filling
because,
those boys out, filling the boy gap.
You're going from boys to men.
I like the binge model, but I also like to have my weekly shows. Like there was a part of this year where I had Barry on Mondays, I had The Boys on Fridays, and whatever fucking stupid Disney show on Wednesdays. So it was like I had my week mapped out. You know what I mean? And now that The Boys is over, I was like, oh God. But now this kind of fills that. So I do appreciate having the weekly shows, and it gives me something to look forward to at the end of the week. And like Chris said, you get to sit on it, you get to simmer, you get to talk about it. It's just a different dynamic. So I go both ways. Like I like my binge models and I like my weekly shows, which is weird. It's an oxymoron, but it's just the way it is. Like,
I think in a lot of ways, TV is slowly getting it in terms of like what shows deserve the same way movie studios now are deciding, is this a straight to streaming opportunity or is this something to where we want to do a theatrical run? Now TV is kind of like trying to perfect, is this a binge model? Is this something that we want to go week to week? Will it hold? Like The Bear, was a binge thing for me, but it's tough because I loved it and then it was gone. And if it was week to week, I probably would have watched it, but I understand there's no stars in that. So if they want somebody to get hooked on it, they got to just drop it and hope that people just burn through it and then tell people. So I understand that approach. But yeah, stuff like The Boys, so these big IP stuff absolutely can work week to week. It doesn't make it good. We'll get to that in a minute. But but a lot of the stuff that we did like, you're right. Whether it was Barry, HBO Max does a lot of week to week. I think it's almost all week to week, right? They haven't really had any kind of stuff. And that worked for something like Barry or Peacemaker or, Winning Time or any of these other shows that we've watched throughout the years so far. And by the way, shout out to the Emmy nominations, where I think it finally set Netflix back on their ear a little bit, where it's like, get your content back on board, because for the first time in a long time, they were number 2 in the Emmy nominations behind HBO Max. So it really kind of set them back. But I think that is in alignment with what we've been saying all year with our top shows, where it was like HBO Max, over and over. So I think actually it lines up quite well. Did you guys check those out at all, or do you care about any of that stuff?
Nope.
I checked it out a little bit. And then I saw where like Moon Knight got like 8 nominations, and I was like, okay, I'm done. I'm done with the Emmys.
Yeah, but no, I want to see what categories those are.
I know.
I doubt it's anything more than like effects stuff or whatever. So, it's like any Star Wars movie that I hate that comes out towards the end, where it's like, ooh, Rise of Skywalker is an Oscar nominee. Okay, all right. Well, it also is one of the worst things I've ever seen. So, we'll see. But I think we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll come back, and then I want to talk about Ms. Marvel and the current kind of state of all the flux of Phase 4, especially on the eve-ish of San Diego Comic-Con coming through, where we'll probably end up getting more and more information of things that'll make us roll our eyes. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Mike.
And I'm Dave.
And join us every Thursday for a new episode of Two Player Bros, a podcast about two guys who play way too many video games. Join me and Dave as we talk about the latest in Xbox, PlayStation, PC, and VR news, previews, and reviews. We have it all, and we play it all.
And join us every other week for Post Game, where we play through and dive deep into our favorite modern classics and new releases.
That's Two Player Bros, available every Thursday wherever you get your podcast, part of the Forgotten Entertainment family.
All All right, we're back. We're going to talk about Ms. Marvel, which just wrapped up last week, and another show where I know we've talked a lot of junk about the MCU in recent memory. Obviously, we touched on Thor: Love and Thunder last week. We more ripped apart Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. We haven't really been on the same page even with the Star Wars show. So Disney Plus as a whole has been kind of this vacuum this year with not a lot to enjoy, at least as far as the three of us are concerned. And Ms. Marvel, I thought was going to be like kind of a refreshing change of pace. I was actually all for it going into it. I was thinking, all right, this character is a lot of fun in the cartoon shows that my kids watch. I love that kind of character, the stretchiness, and that outfit's cool and whatever. And I didn't know a ton of the story, so I was actually not going to be sitting there ripping it apart for maybe what it doesn't do or does do with the comics, and really getting into the details about it. I just wanted to be entertained. And somehow this show was so bland to me, or just didn't strike anything with me, to where I'm like, okay, that was the show that happened. And that really hasn't happened with many comic book properties. It's either I don't like it and I have a million reasons why, or I like it and I'll sing its praises all over the place. This one was right in the middle of like, this is fine, but if I didn't really care about the MCU that much, I wouldn't have watched this week to week, and I wanted to drop it many times. Shane, where do you stand with Ms. Marvel? Did you have any? We kind of talked about this on the pod before, and it didn't seem like you had a tie-in with it, but I don't know how you feel about it.
I don't. If it wasn't for this podcast, I would have dropped it after episode 3. I just thought there was too much exploration into her culture and her family, which is fine for an episode or two. And I like the lightheartedness of it, but
sure.
it lacked. It just lacked characters. It lacked, like when I thought like the villains, like let's get real, like genies, really? Okay, so you put the genies back in the bottle, and then you got Doom Patrol or whatever they are at the end. What were they called? Which actually probably would have been more interesting show. Yeah, if she fought Doom Patrol, that would have been a better show. But Damage Control, whatever.
Different
I'm like,
company.
it was so lackluster with what she had to go through. I just didn't care. It was so bland. There was probably 2 episodes I really enjoyed. The finale, which was fine because that was probably the most action packed of the series. And when she first met the Red Dagger kid, because he was
sure,
he was a character from Into the Badlands, which I really liked that show, which is an AMC show. So I liked that episode, but like a lot of it just didn't make sense to me. And I'm like, all right, let's go. I was waiting for them to push the accelerator, and they never did. I just felt like they had their foot on the brake pad. It just didn't do anything for me. I'm like, okay. And Disney Plus, I hate to say it, they're on a bad run right now. Coming off of Moon Knight and Obi-Wan into this, I'm like, okay. I have no faith in Disney Plus from here on forward. And I'm on record, and I know I'm going off script here, but I'm a huge Daredevil fan, and I am scared.
We have a script?
I am scared. I am scared
Holding up a notepad.
Yeah, I am scared to see what Disney Plus is going to do with Daredevil moving forward. I don't want them to touch it. So I have no faith in Disney Plus. So that's where I stand. It gave you no clues into Phase 4. They dropped a little 90s X-Men themed cartoon song for like 15 seconds at the last episode that, got all people excited, and you saw Captain Marvel at the very end, which was confusing. I'm just like, I have my hands in the air, like, what the hell? Like, what's going on? So
I love how you give a spoiler warning for like a hatchet to someone's head in Terminal List, but you're like, oh, by the way, the stinger that everyone will talk about. You're like, hey, nah, I'm not going to give any kind of warning on that at all. That's okay,
sorry.
Shane.
Hey, listen,
sorry.
In Shane's defense, though, I think
episode's
it's already
been
been
out a
out
week.
there
It's
online.
Fine. Yeah. It's
no,
fine.
but like regardless of that, I think it's the I think internet has just came out like the day it dropped. Everyone was just like, "Hey, guess what?"
Yeah.
Hey,
Well, 'cause
she's
to be
back,
honest,
and here's why. Here's an article.
Because there's been articles also about the fact that this is the least watched show they've ever had. So I think they kind of were like, hey, well, if we want you to kind of stick with the continuity of Phase 4 and the MCU, this is really all you kind of maybe need to know.
And
like,
I hate to say
besides
it,
who
like,
she is.
I don't get how it's that high on Rotten Tomato. Like you said, like 98% or something like that.
Yeah,
I don't.
it's a wild score thing. I'll go over it real quick. It is a 6.2 on IMDb, which actually I think is closer to fair than what is happening at Rotten Tomatoes, where it's 98% on the critic side and 79% on the audience side, which I could swallow that a little bit, but I don't think it's even that good. I think it's more in the like a low 70s. It's just there. Like, I don't think they did enough. And Shane, you mentioned it. You like the lightheartedness. I feel like the lightheartedness went away almost immediately. Like, they had the first episode where I was like comparing things to Spider-Man Homecoming. And then by episode 2 or 3, like the end of episode 2 or into episode 3, I was like, oh, it's a very different show than kind of what they portrayed in episode 1. And immediately it was like, all right, forget all that fun and cool stuff with her just being a kid. Let's get right into Mission Critical and then throw all this crazy shit at you of, you know, beings coming from other dimensions and the Red Bandana Group and a lot of family back history. A whole episode that was all flashback, really, with her barely being in it. There was one of those, and this is 6 episodes. So I don't know. They just didn't do enough to grab me. Some of the stuff was interesting enough to follow, but I was largely bored, and I didn't find a lot of purpose in the stuff that they were showing us in the flashbacks, besides just small inklings to move this particular show forward. But I don't see a lot of world building. I see like they were going into the family a lot. But that was kind of just window dressing. It's not really a lot for Mission Critical. And they really didn't know which lane they wanted to go in at either time. And I thought they really sidelined the best friend stuff, which I think after the premiere we were on here saying like that was some of the best stuff. And that immediately went to the side after a couple episodes. So it became more about her, the journey to a whole different country. And it's like, stop. Make it small, make it simple, make it grounded for that first run, and then take her all those places if this is successful into like season 2 and everything else. But I think they went too big, too soon, but also too bland, and they didn't know any roads. Chris, did you have like any kind of thing you can wrap your mind around with this show?
Well, I had my predictions of how it was probably how the last episode was gonna be, and I like to say I was mostly right.
Yeah. Sure.
Because spoiler alert, 3, 2, 1. Captain Marvel makes an appearance.
What?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it's true.
Sorry,
but
Little John was here.
You had to have tied her with her idol. You know, somehow she had to make an appearance, and lo and behold, she makes an appearance. But the one thing I was hoping that they would lean into is that the original Captain Marvel had quantum bands, and I thought the bangle was going to be tied to that.
Yeah.
And it might be discovered later on in Captain Marvel's movie, The Marvels, whatever the hell you want to call it.
Which, by the way, because we've talked about this before, that we know everything. Like, as far as the schedule and all these other things, I think that also put that kind of damper on this show where I was like, it didn't do enough to make me want to care about the Marvels. Like, I needed more, but I don't know if they're going to have another season of this before that comes out, because I don't know that timetable anymore. I thought that was originally set for the end of this year, and then it got pushed back again, so I don't even know.
Yeah, I don't have the schedule in front of me, but it seems to be shuffled around a lot. I'm still surprised that we haven't heard anything on Wakanda Forever, and that's in November. I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibilities of not knowing much because, you know, they want to keep their cards close to them. But with knowing future schedules, you're kind of not getting the surprises that you
Right.
want. In 2026, this movie's coming out. It's like, in 2022, this character looked like they were going to die, but they got a movie coming out in 2026.
Right. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it's
whatever.
also, it's too crowded, but also not interesting enough. It's so weird that they've just diluted it between the Disney Plus stuff and some of these lesser characters, and without any kind of cohesive storyline that we're all supposed to kind of follow through. I don't know, but to answer our question before, I guess IMDb has it listed as expect the Marvels to be expected next summer.
Okay.
So,
oh, okay, all right.
So I guess maybe that's enough time that. If they have that mostly shot, because I guess they're in post-production, that unless they do a bunch of reshoots and have to fix it or anything, that maybe you also
definitely
get...
gonna have to do the reshoots.
Yeah, well, we'll see. But especially if they're going to have to now tie in either another season or try to do some other finagling. I don't know what they're doing with this particular strand, because when was Captain Marvel? Was that 2018?
That was
2017, I think.
No, 18 or 19. It was several years ago.
Yeah, because I mean that movie, I didn't like it at the time. It is 2019. I didn't love it at the time, and then now I've mostly just forgotten it, which is worse.
Yeah.
And the only reason why I do remember is because I read my son like Marvel bedtime story stuff that brings up the Kree and Marvel and all these other things. I'm like, oh right,
yeah.
But yeah, otherwise I just largely would be out of the game and out with that character, and you haven't seen her, since that wild ride of Infinity War or Endgame, or which one
Endgame.
did you come in? Endgame, right?
Endgame.
Yeah. So this whole, like she's just basically like Superman, but like less interesting, and we don't know enough about her. Like it's this weird mix, and now you're gonna throw in a child to be like a teenager to be alongside you, and then isn't there another?
Yeah.
Are they bringing in Rambo or whatever?
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. I really don't.
She's what, Photon or
it's,
something like that?
It's it kills me because Disney Plus with their Marvel shows were on such a roll up until Moon Knight. And then Moon Knight, and then they back it with Miss Marvel, which has been fail. But up until then, I mean, Loki, Falcon, Winter Soldier, I mean, they were all strong shows. And then these last two shows have just left me like, I don't care. And like, we got, what's the next one coming up? She-Hulk? And I'm like, oh, God. Like, no, please no.
Right.
Or
well, that's why overall
Shrek.
with the Disney Plus stuff, it's Cassian Andor, which, Chris said he was out on before it's even started. And then... which I can't blame you. I barely enjoyed parts of Rogue One. I wasn't that big a fan, so I'm going to watch a whole Andor show. And then, then like the Groot TV show and a Guardians holiday special or whatever. I don't know what else I'm missing, but
I'm
yikes.
Curious.
It's going to be a tough stretch.
Sorry about that. I'm curious if Groot's show is going to be like the Baymax show, where the Baymax show is just like little vignettes, little quick episodes.
That's exactly what it is.
Bing, bang, boom. There you go.
That's exactly
which will
what
be
it is.
fine enough, but
Totally.
it's not going to be like, this is canon.
right.
Everything's
I don't
canon.
know.
They're all going to be like,
you know what? Because what if turns into canon.
I know.
And I'm just like, what if should be what if?
Exactly.
Like, what if this happened? Great. That's there. Let's move on.
Yeah,
it's like,
it should have been
let's
its own thing.
carry this character over. Let's do this. Let's do that. Overall, I think Miss Marvel was a good attempt at gathering families to watch one thing. You know, you can't have all these TV shows cater to the adults that have watched the 20 plus movies that came before it and look forward to the next phase in MCU. However, you're riding that line of, hey, we got family friendly shows that the kids will love, the parents will love, and we can look forward to what's coming down the pike. And it's just, I don't know. I don't know what their method is. I thought Kevin Feige had more control than what he's showing us in Phase 4, but it's not rumored to be, but he's been quoted as saying Phase 5 will put everything into perspective that Phase 4 is trying to do. And I think that's a bold statement because I can't see how the dots are connected.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about Young Avengers being like something that they're going to try to do with all this. And then, of course,
Secret Wars,
which I know Nick Fury is in the Marvels because he's tied into all that. Plus, they're going to do, what is it, Secret Invasion show? That I think is going to come.
Yeah. Secret Wars, I said. Jeez.
No, it's fine. Well, Secret Wars is all like a part of a larger story, but I know that they have the Secret Invasion show or whatever that they're going to do. So,
yeah.
I don't know, man. It's all wait and see. And like you said, like Comic-Con, San Diego Comic-Con is going to be this weekend. So we'll probably find out a bunch of things or at least maybe see a trailer for Wakanda Forever, which, Chris, I'm starting to lean on you where it's like, God, Daniel Kaluuya's not even in this. I didn't know that until recently. And it was because he went and did Nope instead, which that is also coming out this weekend. So hopefully that ends up being good. And actually, very soon, maybe within the next hour, I think we're going to get early reviews from the premiere that happened out in LA and some of these other where the critics embargo is over. So you'll start to see little drips and drabs to see whether that's any good. But I'm going to see that on Friday, and we'll talk about that next week. So
I have to see that as well because I swear to God, it's getting harder and harder to dodge these trailers that pop up.
Yeah.
Like I'm watching Hulu and they have a full commercial and I'm like looking down, trying to fast forward, and it's just not working. I don't want to be spoiled and I just want to enjoy the thing for what it is.
I hope big time that Nope isn't the bigger blockbuster version of Men, where like I saw that trailer so many times and I was like, oh, well, this better be good. And then it was one of the worst movies I've seen this year. And then I hope Nope doesn't suffer the same fate where like they were pushing that trailer early and often. And then they started doing the more expanded trailer and then they played that all day. So I was like, oh God, please just don't make this bad.
We have Jordan Peele's background to go on. So I have faith in Jordan Peele. So I have faith in this movie. You know what I mean? Like, so.
Yeah, it's not like I didn't say the same thing about,
I know.
The creator of Ex Machina. Hey, it can't be that bad. And then you go, shit. But
don't worry, he's giving up film after this.
I know, I saw that. Jeez.
Wow. Jesus Christ.
That's a tough beat, man. He should at least go back to TV. He'll have a thriving career. But I don't want him to stop making movies. Anyway, you don't make one bad movie and then everybody kills you.
He may be pulling a Soderbergh. Soderbergh said the same thing, and then, he's coming back with a vengeance.
Which I understand. You make one movie that gets ripped to shreds and you put your heart and soul into it, and then, it leaves such a sour taste in your mouth you never want to do it again. So, I don't know. I don't want to go too much. I love you, Alex Garland. You're allowed to make a dud and come back. Come on, do that. But yeah, guys, this was a lot of. I hate to end on such a sour note, man, because I'm looking very much forward to Nope. I'm very much looking forward to Shane and Chris watching The Gray Man, which I watched last week, so we can have a big conversation about that. And teaser, hopefully this all works out. It's on the books to do so, but hopefully we should have a bonus episode this week with Casey Moore from What's on Netflix. He is the editor-in-chief over there, and we're going to do like a big Netflix State of the Union kind of conversation with that. Maybe talk about kind of The Gray Man and how much that has to work coming off the duds of Red Notice and other bigger stuff that hasn't worked. When they spend
Casey,
a lot of money,
we have questions.
Exactly. So look forward to that at the end of the week, hopefully to coincide with The Gray Man, The Gray Man's release on Netflix. So stay tuned for all that, guys. And then we got a whole lot more. This summer is relentless. And we even have like some fun episodes, like maybe a movie draft episode coming up with some of our pals from other podcasts. So that'll be excellent. Thank you guys again for doing this. As always, every single week. Love talking with you guys. And we'll see you next time on Recent Activity.
Pleasure.